Hey friends, welcome back to Rita Talks. I'm Rita, and on this YouTube channel, I just share some of the thoughts, ideas that I've been thinking about. In today's video, I want to talk about this realization that I've come to, within the context of my work, also within the context of my personal life, and I think it's a common theme in my life, and it probably just has to do with how I work as a person, and it's also like this philosophy that I'm trying to adopt uh, on how to approach life and what are the things that are worth doing. And it's this idea of the fact that I spend most of my time in the exploration phase, so always trying to learn and understand. But I only take action very deliberately and like way after most people would take action. And I don't know if that's a good thing, or I don't know if that's a bad thing, but it is something that I'm finally realizing that works for me. That basically I spend a lot of time reading, trying to understand things. I spend a lot of time exploring, thinking. Just basically, like if we draw an analogy to what's happening currently with AI and foundational models and things like this. Basically, what a foundational model does, especially like for example, a language, the foundational model, what it does is that it takes a very, very, very big corpus of data, so almost the whole of the internet, and tries to understand the rules of language from basically dissecting this corpus, which is a huge corpus, so I don't know, 1 billion data points with billions of training parameters. I mean, I'm just making numbers up because actually, if like this is the, I think there was a paper about this. I don't remember the name of the paper, but basically there was this rule that if you had a foundational model that had, let's say, 1 billion parameters, you needed 20 times as much data to be able to, like basically it's a 20-to-1 ratio scaling thing. So if you have a model that's that has 1 billion parameters, but you're not able to get 20 billion 20 billion data points, then you should actually scale down the number of parameters to match basically this sweet spot of 20-to-1 ratio of the data that you have versus the parameter size. And I was thinking about this from my perspective. Like, obviously, it's not to the scale that these foundational models are doing. I think by the time that this video comes out, the number of parameters would be probably, I don't know, 300 times what it is right now. I think the biggest model that exists right now, the foundational model that exists right now, I think it has something like 300 billion parameters, so that's freaking crazy. But anyway, like it would be interesting to know like what's the contrast between the numbers that I'm saying today and the numbers that will be there by the time that this video comes out. Also, we're like I think the research is going towards like trying to actually prune the number of parameters in a way that you can have, instead of using the brute force approach to building foundational models, to try to increase the efficiency of models and maybe decrease that model to parameter ratio, model size to parameter. I don't know if that's making any sense, but basically you want to have smarter models for a smaller number of parameters and also a smaller number of data points. So I think that's where the research is heading right now, and like there's all this stuff about multimodal AI, which by the time that this comes out, it will probably be a common thing, like that people take for granted, but that would be interesting to see this evolution. But anyway, to get back to the point that I was trying to make, I did not plan on giving an AI lecture, but it's an analogy that I love drawing analogies. I think like especially with AI and everything, I think there's lots of analogies with day-to-day life, and I think this is a like I'm noticing some patterns in my life. So basically, just to get back to my point, like I've noticed that I'm very good at taking a long time to build a model in my head of how the world works, how a system works, and things like that. And over the short term, for someone who's deeply impatient, like who does not optimize for the long-term outcome, it's easy to want to jump into a decision right away, or like to jump into action right away. And that's definitely something that I like that I'm working on improving, like this bias for action thing, which uh, was actually my 2023 goal. I think I remember in the first videos I've ever made of Rita Talks, I was talking about the fact that I wanted 2023 to be my bias for action year. I think 2024 I want it to be my deep work and basically essentialism year, where I say no to 90% of the things that come my way, so that I can have the space to say yes to the most important things. And basically, like this exploration phase is what allows me to say yes to the right things. I just have to be patient enough and like have a long enough time frame to be able to accept that. And it's something that I've learned is how I work when it comes to delivering projects. I spent a long time just reading documentation, trying to understand stuff, taking my time, really going into some, you know, areas like reading and all of that stuff. And then by the time like then when I start to take action, my action can be more uh, drastic, and I just have a very intense period where I go all out, and that's what I'm doing with this project that I'm working on completing. I'm going all out because now I have most of the information that I need to complete it, and I can just do it without any context switching and just focus on one thing. Um, so yeah, I've thought about this, and I think that's also something that I'm doing when it comes to relationships. I guess right now I'm in the phase of my life where, I mean, I have been for a while, especially the past 3 to 4 years. I've really been thinking about this a lot. Where basically I've just been reflecting on, okay, why do I like this person? Why do I not like this person? What are the qualities that make me feel heard by this person? What are the qualities that make me feel misunderstood by this person? And like all of like trying to understand all of the intricacies when it comes to friendships, but it also ports to romantic relationships, because basically, I mean, romantic relationships are friendships with benefits in some sense. I mean, the truth is, I don't really have any significant romantic relationships where I was really in love and got to test that out. But I guess that's something that, right now I am I'm accepting that I am in that exploration phase where I'm just learning as much as I can. Like, I think I've learned a lot the past couple of years about okay, what does it take to be a good partner? What does it take to, I mean, just not to be, not about being a partner. What does it take to be a good friend? What does it take to make someone feel heard, understood, loved? How can I do that for someone else? But also, what are the things that I need to look for in order to know who will be able to do that for me? And it's uh, it's a very long process, because in the meantime it's very hard for me. I really want to have a partner, and all of that stuff, and I get bogged down about it quite often, and I daydream about it all the time. But it's something that's just something that I've learned to accept. I think it's more important for me to accept this exploration phase, this understanding phase. And hopefully, with all of this knowledge that I'm gaining about, okay, relationships, how do I know if this person likes me? How do I know if I should pursue them? How do I know if they like me as much as I like them? And all of that stuff. It's just stuff that I'm learning to deal with, and it's like an extended exploration phase that hopefully will lead to a good relationship with someone I respect. And basically, yeah, I think respect has a lot of, like, a big role to play in this, and I think that's something that's crucial, actually, even more than physical attraction. I think that's the thing. Physical attraction and like some of the other stuff is what gets you in the door, but what makes you stay is, do you respect the other person? Do you feel like that you're actual partners in life? I mean, easy for me to say because I have not had a significant relationship, romantic relationships, but that's okay. I mean, that's the thing, is that these social skills of understanding people are skills that apply to almost any situation in life, and not just the narrow situation of romantic relationships. So I'm just trying to learn that skill overall, and you know, being as social as I have been the past few years, and like trying to form true meaningful connections with the people around me, has taught me a lot about this. And I like to believe that that's hopefully gonna make me a better romantic partner, and it's also gonna help me find the right person for me, because historically I've had like I've had like bad judgment. I mean, not bad judgment, but basically like I would let my hormones take over, and like if I'm attracted to someone, then that would be the be all end all. And I've learned to accept that that's actually just a small portion of what it takes, through lots of heartbreak and like my like things not working out, basically. And especially when, like, that's the thing, is that none of these things have led actually to a romantic relationship. It was romantic interest. Um, so yeah, it's just something that, like, this whole thing, exploration, being okay with spending most of my time learning and understanding and building a mental model of how things work, and a small amount of time taking action, which kind of reminds me of Warren Buffett's investing philosophy, that he just needs to make one or two good investing decisions a year. And that kind of shifts the time for, like, this bias for action and like movement for the sake of movement, to a more deliberate approach. But I understand that this is not something that that everyone can do, like that anyone can do, especially at the beginning when you have not built a track record of trust in your abilities. And the only way to do that is through bias for action. So basically, as you gain more confidence in yourself through bias for action, you need to start to slow down your basically your ability to say yes, so that you can really go all out on the things that you say yes to. And that's something that you can only gain from saying yes a lot at the beginning. It's a bit paradoxical because basically it's really hard to determine when to switch from one mode to the next, because especially because these modes are contradictory. And if you don't have that base level of trust in your abilities, trying to go directly to mode 2 where you're just saying no basically to everything, that's the mode that I'm currently in. Basically, it means that like you will always feel overwhelmed and you will not be able to take the action necessary when the time comes. So so yeah, it's a bit of a tricky topic, but it's always interesting to think about this. So yeah, that's the theme. I think that's the theme of this quarter. Basically, focus, saying mostly no, learning to say no, so that I can say yes to the right things, and that's something that I'm only able to do now because of the evidence that I've built for myself over the past year about my ability to execute on things, and that was built up through bias for action. So yeah, at the beginning, bias for action is super important, but then at some point it switches, and you need to start making deliberate decisions, because basically, like I think how it happens is that at the beginning you're making all of the decisions, and then at some point you need to stop making most decisions and only focus on a very few decisions that need to be deliberately thought through. If it's not that type of decision, then someone else needs to make it, or just say no to it, basically, to that opportunity, because it's not worth your attention. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, this is just like something that's been brewing in my mind, that I've been drawing parallels, as you've seen on this video, between AI, machine learning, romantic relationships, the current project that I'm working on, and I don't know, lots of other stuff. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I've been thinking about lately, especially because of this project I'm working on. So yeah, I think right now is a good time for me to go to sleep and call it a night. Need to catch up on the sleep from the lack of sleep from yesterday, on which I slept at like around 4 a.m. So yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. Today you can click here to watch my previous video on this channel, which is the one right before this one, or you can click here to watch my latest video on the channel overall. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the night, whichever time of day it is where you are right now. Bye for now, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye!